Article 16 is out of title work. And this article provides for individuals who are in writing, told, ordered to be working in a title of a lower classification or a higher classification. When working in a lower classification, again, this should be in writing and formally with some sort of a notice, either an email or a memo stating that you're being reassigned temporarily to another title to do work. But individuals in a lower title would be compensated at their regular title salary. They would maintain that salary. If you're ordered to work in a higher classification, you should be compensated for that work in the higher classification if that work is for more than 30 days. And again, if the assignment is in writing. Very often, a big problem occurs when people are told by their supervisor, oh yeah, I want you to be doing this job over here. Yeah, it's a higher job classification, but yeah, we'll take care of you. And after 30 days or 60 days, you're not seeing any money for it. That's usually when calls will be made to the union president to see what can be done. Always, when you're being directed to do the work in a lower or higher classification, try to get that in writing. And speak with your union stewards. If you're unclear on how to get that to happen, call your union president, and there are ways that we can make it evident that the position is being taken care of in the higher or lower classification. Article 16 also talks about overtime compensation, and when you're working in that higher or lower title, overtime is computed at the first step of the higher classification unless the employee's rate is higher than that first step. Again, overtime for a lower classification is your regular overtime work rate. So if there are any questions, contact your union president and discuss the matter and the need for documentation, and a discussion will be had about that. Let me turn it over to David Young to look at this article.
Yes, in my experience, this article often comes into play when a higher graded employee leaves and then a lower graded employee is assigned the higher graded duties. Often management neglects to put this in writing for whatever reason. My best advice to you is to confirm in writing to your manager that you've been assigned these higher graded duties. So there's something on the record here. As Greg says, often management will neglect to put this in writing, even though it's a fact that you're performing higher graded duties. Also, if this becomes a long-term affair, your EPRS and your Form 30 should be amended to reflect those higher graded duties. After 30 days, a grievance should be filed if you are performing higher graded duties out of your normal title.
Thank you.
I don't have a whole lot to add on this one. What sometimes happens is, David has indicated, is the employee will be assigned to do the duties of a higher title, but does not get any formal assignment in writing. But sometimes we can put together a case that establishes that you or some other employee is performing the work of the higher title if there is documentation that addresses the employee in question as, we'll say, the acting office manager, when he or she really isn't the office manager, but has become the office manager because somebody left or retired. And we can sometimes gather together documentation to prove our case that the person has really been assigned to do the duties of a higher classification by virtue of memos coming from the agency head addressed to that employee, as we'll say, the acting office manager or the acting office director. That will be what's called, can be considered what's called constructive documentation of the assignment, and we can sometimes prevail in a situation like that. But it's well worth gathering all the documentation, and as David indicated, if you are assigned to work in a higher title and the management never gives you a memo to that effect, you can send a memo or an email back to the agency head saying, this is to confirm that you've asked me to serve in an active capacity as whatever the job title is. So you have something on the record that we could use as documentation if we need to go and file a grievance. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.